الحمد لله ونحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. صدق الله العظيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم ثبتنا عند الموت بلا إله إلا الله. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. آمين يا رب العالمين. ثم ما بعد. Today's khutbah is about part of the dua that our father Ibrahim alayhi salam made when he and his son were building the Kaaba. When he and his son Ismail alayhi salam were building the Kaaba. It's a long dua, so I'm going to focus on its climax and its conclusion. Because this part of the dua captures how Ibrahim alayhi salam, our father, planned to secure the future of his coming generations. In such a short ayah, in a very short ayah, Ibrahim alayhi salam captured the spirit of this deen, the crux of this faith. If you understand this ayah, you can understand the vision that Islam presents. You can understand, it'll cast light on the rest of the Quran. And it was so profound, this dua was so profound that Allah echoed this dua. He echoed our father 3 separate times in the Quran. One of those is Surah Jum'ah, which we read every week. We revisit this dua every Friday. So I hope I can do justice in this khutbah. The ayah is, رَبَّنَا وَبَعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. So I'm going to take it part by part. ربنا وبعث فيهم رسولا منهم. O Master, from within them, from within their midst, raise a messenger who is from them. There are 2 different things. فيهم, from within them, captures the idea that this messenger will be deeply embedded in this society. He'll understand their culture. He'll understand their language. He'll understand their social norms. He'll understand their business practices. He's fihim, he's in them. But it's very possible to be within a society but not be from a society. A lot of us here are immigrants, or our parents are immigrants. We've lived here for 30, 40 years, right? Some of us came when we were very young, or some of us were born here. All we know is this culture. But still we might not be accepted as from here, because our origins might be elsewhere. Ibrahim alayhi salam, in his genius, he captured the idea that both criteria need to be fulfilled. This messenger will be from them. He's part of Quraysh. His family's been living here for generations. He's part of the custodians of the Kaaba, but he's also fihim. Everyone knows him, and he knows everyone. Even before becoming a prophet, he was active in politics. He was a respected trader. Everyone knew him as Sadiq al-Amin. He was fihim, and he was minhum. What does that mean for us? You know, Umar radiallahu anhu who said, Ana Rasulu Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I am the messenger of Allah. We are now the carriers of this faith. We bring this deen forward. We are shuhada ala nas. We are witnesses to this for people. Yet we often forget this notion of being active members of a society. You know, we form these bubbles of Muslim communities in big cities or towns, and we're not actively engaged at all from the larger society. We get so isolated. We're not connected to them. There's a masjid standing in a city or a town for 20, 30 years. Its neighbors who are non-Muslim. They don't know anything about what this masjid means, what this deen is. The only thing they know is, man, these people on Friday, they forget how to park. These people on Friday, they don't know how to respect private property. That's all they know about this deen. Our Islam, if you want Islam to take hold in a society, if you want Islam to bring light to a society, you can't cut it off from society. Because Islam doesn't bring us further away from people, it brings us closer to people of other religions and other worldviews. So they can get an up-close and personal view of what Islam should look like. Today we get really worried about getting a proper environment. Oh, we need a Muslim environment so our kids can stay safe. Who's making this dua? Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? What kind of environment did Ibrahim alayhi salam grow up in? He was the definition of a horrible, no good, very bad environment. His people worship the sun, the stars, the moon. His father makes idols at home. Their king of the town calls himself Rabb. When Ibrahim a.s. goes to his father, Ya Abati, oh my beloved father, don't do this. This is wrong. What does his father say? His father says, Wahjurni maliya, go far away from me. I don't want to see your face. It's a terrible society, terrible environment that he's living in. And when he leaves the society, he's isolated. He has no environment. He's all alone. Yet Allah still takes care of him. What kind of society did our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ grow up in? Mecca. Clan wars that go for decades are normal. Violence and oppression towards women and children is commonplace. There's no such thing as humility in Mecca. When he moves to Medina, what was Medina like before the Prophet ﷺ arrived? It was like Vegas, baby. Alcohol was flowing like water. Gambling is common. The lewdness is all over the place. It's so apparent. And Allah still told Muhammad ﷺ to settle there. And Islam grew there. On the flip side, Yaqub alayhi salam, he was Kareem ibn, Muhammad says about Yusuf alayhi salam, Kareem ibn Kareem ibn Kareem ibn Kareem, son, a noble and awesome person, son of a noble and awesome person, son of a noble and awesome person, son of a noble and awesome person. A Kareem is raising the children of Yusuf, the children of Yaqub, but those same children, look what they do to their brother, look how they torture their father. I'm not saying environment's not important, environment is important, it has its place, but it's not primary. What's primary in protecting Islam is a worldview. It's a proper way of thinking. How you purify people, which is coming by the way. And that worldview comes from revelation. The mindset and attitude that Allah shapes of human beings, of Muslims, through the Quran is incredible. And that's what's going to guide you through the challenges of life, even a bad environment. Even a bad environment. If you have proper mindset, you're okay. Also notice that Ibrahim a.s. asked for how many messengers? He says, Rasula, one. If he said multiple, it would be Rusula, for many messengers. This serves two benefits. One of the benefits is the position of the Bani Israel of the time is that the sacred place is Jerusalem. The blessed son is Ishaq alayhi salam. But they got how many prophets? They got many prophets, right? If Ibrahim alayhi salam was referring to them, it will be Rusula. So Allah sort of refutes their view by saying that it's Rasula, only one prophet, because only one prophet came from the line of Ibrahim, Ismail alayhi salam. Another benefit is it tells you the gravity and the power and the importance of the roles that this prophet is going to play. If you look immediately preceding, Ibrahim alayhi salam is making a dua for his future generations. He keeps asking Allah about وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي, what about my offspring? What about my progeny? If he was so worried, you would expect that he would say Rusula, he would say multiple prophets, but he doesn't. He says Rasula. What does that mean? It means that that I'm going to ask for a prophet that does four things. And these four things are so incredible, so complete, that if he does these four things, I don't have to worry about the rest of my generations. I know they'll be okay if he does these four things. What are those four things? يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ. He will recite unto them your signs. I'm going to give a rough translation for now. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. He teaches them the law. وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and the wisdom. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and he purifies them. I'd like to start with the beautiful flow to this dua itself. When the ayat of revelation are read to you, are recited upon people, they get law and they get wisdom. And when they get that law and wisdom, because Quran is not just a fiqh book, and it's also not just a book of beliefs, it's both. When they get both law and wisdom, they are purified. They get purification. So it's such a beautiful construction, such a beautiful flow. You know, if you look at it from far away, it looks like it just jumbled together words. But when you really look deeply, you see how beautifully Allah constructs this kalam. So, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ. He recites upon them the signs. We commonly translate ayah as revelation or signs, but there are so many more implications of the word ayah. It means something meaningful, something with purpose, something that's valuable, something that constantly reminds you, something that gives you direction. Put all those together, and you see why in the Quran Allah calls almost everything an ayah. I'm an ayah, the skies are an ayah, the earth is an ayah, plants are an ayah, history is an ayah, rocks are an ayah. There's an ayah in the way the وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. There's an ayah in the way the sun and moon transition. You're an ayah. Almost everything in the Quran is an ayah. It's harder to define what isn't an ayah than what is an ayah. And that helps you appreciate it, because when revelation comes, everything else starts making sense. It gives you direction, it gives you meaning. Signs of creation make you think about the ayat of revelation, they make you reflect. And when you read the signs of revelation, they help you find meaning and they help you appreciate the ayat of creation that Allah has given you. In one succinct word, Allah captures the idea that we have to be spiritual, but we also have to be engaged in this world actively. Even accounting, even something like accounting is deen. You want me to prove it? Towards the end of this surah, Allah talks about the loan agreements and the trade agreements and contracts. You know what He says about the person who writes the contracts? He says, فَلْيَكْتُبْ بِمَّا عَلَّمَهُ اللَّهُ. He should write from what Allah has taught him. When Allah teaches something, it becomes sacred. So even in that sense, even accounting is deen, as a part of deen. If you approach it with the right mindset, and there are multiple examples throughout the Quran and the Hadith of different examples. If you approach anything you do with the right mindset, with the right intention, everything becomes a way for you to become closer to Allah. Everything becomes a form of deen for you. Next, وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. He will teach the law and He will teach the wisdom. I'm not translating kitab as book. Kataba, in the past, it used to mean something else permanent. And the reason it became to write or book is because when they used to write in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they used to etch it into stone, or they used to sew it into cloth, or they used to imprint it on an animal hide. It was permanent. And that's why the meaning of law also comes out, because it's something that's permanent. There is no getting away from it. This is law. It's written for you. That's it. It's dry now. There's no turning back from it. That's why when Allah talks about some laws, He says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ, for example. The fasting has been written for you. It's permanent. It's law upon you. There's no going away from it now. But He also teaches the hikmah. He also teaches the wisdom behind the laws, which answers the question, why should we follow this law? Why is it so beneficial? How can we benefit from this law? He gave us the letter of the law and the spirit of the law in common language. And that's why He always puts reasons. For a lot of them, Allah gives us reasons. For كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ, at the end of the ayah, it says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may gain piety, so that you may fear Allah. So He gives us both. What was the tragedy of the Israelites? They kept the letter of the law, but they got rid of the spirit of the law. And when they got rid of that wisdom, it made it easier for them to change the laws. And that's why hikmah is so important. And hikmah is two things. It's belief in the unseen, stuff we couldn't have known if Allah hadn't opened that wisdom on us, alimul ghaib, and it's morals, it's ethics, it's character. Because there's a difference between law and morals. Laws are black and white. Either you cut the red light or you didn't cut the red light. The morals are more, there's a gray area, it's qualitative. For example, Allah says, وَلَا تَمْشِي فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. Don't walk on this earth with insolence. Yani walk with humility. There's no humility meter that I can make and start handing out to police to randomly stop people and check their humility if that is enough or not. Two people could be walking the exact same way down the street, and the situations inside their heart is completely different. One's way more humble than the other. It's possible. That's why, so morals are they're general guidelines. They vary. But they have to come first when you're trying to build a good society. That's why if you look in Makki Quran, a lot of it's building morals. A lot of it's building willpower and strength and teaching you why you should become Muslim. And then in Medina is when Allah starts imposing laws. That's when all these laws start coming into play for the Muslims. Morals are built first. You can have someone who follows the laws to a T. They give zakat on time, and they give sadaqah. Their salah looks completely perfect. They'll go to Hajj every year. They'll check the ingredients on every gummy bear they eat. But their attitude towards other people, it's terrible. They walk into a room, you're terrified. Whose heart is he going to tear to shreds today? Whose rights is he going to trample on? You need both laws and you need ethics. And it's an opportunity to appreciate the foresight of Ibrahim a.s. because he asked for both. He recognized that these people will need both. Today we live in an age where morality is relative. You walk into a philosophy class, the first thing they'll teach you is that there's no such thing as the perfect law. There's no such thing as a single world view. We believe that Allah reveals absolutes. This is right, that's wrong, no arguments. But in today's world, everything is relative. My right and wrong could be different from your right and wrong. It's an age of who cares, right? It's an age of, oh, this world is just an accident. It's just a bunch of random collisions. It's a coincidence of evolution that brought us here. Do whatever you want. This place has no meaning. You can just live your life however you want. There's no purpose. Just live and then die. In that age, when there's no meaning in everything, in that age, when you read, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ, He will read upon them the signs that will give them direction and purpose. He will يُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ, He will teach them laws, وَالْحِكْمَةِ, He will teach them wisdom, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, He will purify them. It takes on a whole different meaning. That was a revolution that Muhammad ﷺ was tasked to bring. This deen is so much more than don't eat gelatin. It's deep. It has solutions to problems faced by humanity for every era, that problems that existed, that exist, and will exist. And it's so evident now, it's so apparent now. That's why Ibrahim alayhi salam included by yuzakkihim, he'll purify them. The ultimate goal, if you really look at it, of Islam is cleansing people. It's cleansing. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he arrived, when he came back, Fath Makkah, what did he do? He cleansed the Kaaba. Everything is purified in Islam. If you look at any of the laws, everything is purifying something. It's either, if it's purifying your inner self, it's purifying your character, it's purifying society, it's purifying your food, everything. For example, dietary laws. Allah says, يُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْكُمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. The things that are haram on you are filthy things, they're impure things, they're dirty things, they're unhealthy things. He's purifying what you eat for you. Zakah, the root word for zakah comes from purification, comes from cleansing. So when you give zakah, your money is being cleansed. When you cleanse your money, the things you buy with that money is now pure for you. The food you buy with that money is now pure for you. Capital punishment. When a zani is flogged 100 times, why? Because when there's something when that sort of shameless act is going on out in the open, that 4 people can see it, that means there's a problem with the society. There's something wrong. That society is becoming impure. So some form of cleansing, some form of punishment needs to be imposed, or else the society, the filth is going to keep building up, and the society will get polluted by this filth. Everything is cleansing. And the most important cleansing is the purification of the inner self. And that's 2 things. Purification of the mind and purification of the heart. Purification of the mind means being clear about why you exist. Why do you even follow Islam? Why do you follow these hocus pocus rules? What's so important? Why is this religion superior? You know, why should we give up all the temptations and follow these rules? Nobody else around me follows them. So many college kids who are Muslim, they're Muslim only because their parents are Muslim. You know, they got Islamic inheritance. And as soon as they come to college, all the temptations are around them. And they have no concept of why they should stay away from these temptations, why they should be calling people to something higher rather than stooping themselves to something lower. We have to be convinced about why we're Muslim. That means you have to have purification of the mind. Allah says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ again and again in the Quran, so you can think clearly, so you have clarity in the way you think. There's no doubt or obscurity. يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ. He makes his ayat, he makes his signs and revelation, makes them very clear for you. There's no obscurity. And the same thing with the heart. The Quran also gives you purification of the heart. Every salah we recite, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Ya Allah, keep guiding me, keep giving me that spiritual purification. Don't let me off this path, because if I go off this path, I'm done for. Keep giving me that spiritual purification. And the Quran is so amazing, because it combines the cleansing of both the mind and the heart like nothing else has ever done before. Nothing else. The same book that you read as an intellectual, it blows your mind in terms of the clarity and how it convinces you, is the same Quran that you read in Salah, and you're crying your heart out. You're crying your eyes out because of the beauty of this kalam. This book is both intellectual and spiritual. And the way it convinces you, once your faith is ironclad, whatever doubts, questions coming your way, they just fall off. Constantly reinforcing your intellectual and spiritual purity. And it always gives you the right dosage. The Quran always gives you the right dosage. If you make Allah's book accessible to people, watch it work, the society will fix itself. Think about the effort, going back to Ibrahim alayhi salam, think about the effort he made as a young man to seek Allah, how much trial he went through, to retain his Islam. Think about the journey he made. And now he's thinking back, and he realizes, I want to make this journey easy for my children, for the lineages that are going to come after me. I don't want them to suffer like I do. How do I ask Allah for something that will make this journey easy for them? And that is what this book was for. That's what the Quran came down for. It came down to make people's journey to find Allah easy. Today we take this book, it's one of the most recited in the world, one of the most translated in the world, one of the most read in the world. We make it the most misunderstood and hard to access book to Muslims. The way the Quran, first of all, people don't even understand what Quran is. When you try to explain to them, it flies over their heads. They have no idea what you're talking about because it's so high intellectual language. Well, meanwhile, Allah says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ. We certainly made Quran easy for remembrance. When you facilitate understanding of the Quran, the process of يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, that process can begin. And we're so fortunate because our awesome chaplain Yasin has organized weekly sessions where we can reconnect with the Quran. You know, he's done so much great work for this community. This is one of them. May Allah give him a comfortable life in this world, and may He grant him Jannatul Firdaus in the Akhirah. Say Ameen. And this opportunity to easily access and to learn what Allah is saying to you and me in this country, on a college campus, it's so incredible. So I encourage all of you to attend, because the workload is still light. Classes haven't gone too crazy yet. Prelim season isn't upon us yet. Develop a relationship with the Quran now, because these classes, these reconnecting with the Quran classes, they're not going to be like high level. It's going to be very comprehensive, and it's going to be very easy to understand. So I encourage all of you to come. Develop a relationship with the Quran now, before it's too late. If you develop it now, watch how your worldview changes. Watch how it becomes easy for you to tackle the responsibilities and trials of your life. And when you learn what Allah is saying, and when you're standing in salah and you're reciting what you're reciting with understanding what Allah is saying, you can appreciate the implications, the insight, and the weight behind Allah's words. Man, your salah is transformed. It is transformed. It's like something completely different. So again, I really urge you all to take the time out, come to these sessions. It's only for your benefit. If you don't come, then we're not going to be talking to the malaika. They already pretty much know this stuff. So the first one's this Tuesday, September 4th, 4:30 p.m. I'll say that again slower. Tuesday, September 4th, 4:30 p.m., Rockefeller Hall, room 185. I really encourage you to come. Bring your friends. Bring anyone who's interested. May Allah give us the insight and wisdom and ability and sincerity to understand His book. May Allah give us the insight, wisdom, ability, and sincerity to live by His book. May Allah give us the ability to share its message and beauty with others. May Allah give us the opportunity to make a connection with Islam. So we make a connection with Islam and Allah's book, the Quran, so that we can complete يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. آمين. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. أقول قولي هذا فاستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأنبياء والمرسلين. نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يديه الساعة. من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد، ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات، وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته وأصحابه أجمعين، خصوصا على الخلفاء الراشدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا.